Chapter 5, Episode 13 Therapy. None. The new semester at the Imperial College of Medicine of St. Phlebs has begun, and the first day of lectures has arrived. Pharma, the new professor and pharmacy owner, could not stay at the university all day. He had to work in the pharmacy in the morning, and all his lectures at the university were scheduled for the afternoon. "I'll take care of the rest," she said. "Ellen will be back this afternoon. I'll get dressed and go to the university." After the morning examination, Pharma finished informing the part-time pharmacist of the situation. The appointments for critical patients, whose condition could change suddenly, were scheduled in the morning. "Yes, Mr. Storekeeper. Go ahead. I'll take care of this one." And Rebecca ritually got up from her seat to see Pharma off. "Good luck with your lecture. If they are noisy students, just shoo them away. Be careful not to get licked." Celeste clenches her fists and gives a boisterous cheer. "Yes, go ahead." Roger waves his hand with a sidelong smile. I wondered if the part-time apothecaries who were looking after me were dependable or not. The first thing that comes to mind is the fact that the pharmacist is going to be substituting for Ellen in the afternoon, which is a relief to Pharma. If a patient comes in with a serious condition that Ellen can't handle, send the patient to the university. Understood. If a patient comes in that we don't recognize, we'll send him right away. We'll send them right away. Right away, before it's too late. What a quick to give up 3 people. Pharma begins to get ready with a delicate state of mind. "How is college going, Mr. Pharma? Have you made about 100 friends?" Lot goes upstairs to the second floor of the pharmacy and folds Pharma's lab coat, which she is hurriedly changing from white to plain clothes in one of the treatment rooms, with the sleeves of the coat folded together, and calls out to her happily. 100 friends? I'm not in elementary school. But that idea is very lot-like. I'm going to get along just fine with the students and the staff. At first it was a lot happened. Remembering Emerick and the students, Farmer stuffed his bag with various papers and printouts. "Do you ever doze off in class? If you feel sleepy, try pinching your cheeks. It hurts so much it will bring tears to your eyes." "Me, I don't doze off in class. I'm not going to doze off during class. I thought I might doze off. I'm the one who wakes the sleeping students. I wonder what kind of place Pharma's university is. Oh, but the cafeteria is open to the public. I'll go eat there with you. Why don't we go to the college cafeteria during our lunch break? The bread is delicious and they have a good selection of desserts. Off-campus people can eat there, too." "Wow, but is it really that good? If so, please take me there. I'll walk home. Let's go." With Lot, who says she is a fan of carbohydrates and fruits, on her horse, Pharma heads through the main streets of the Imperial City to the Imperial College of Medicine. It may look like a commute for 2 students, but this is still a commute. Wow, it's a very fine school. It's so big, it's hard to move around. Lot, who was brought to a school for the first time, was jumping up and down with excitement. She said, "It's so new now that the faculties have merged or been newly established." While strolling around the campus, Pharma gave Lot a brief tour of the university. Lot was particularly interested in the herb garden attached to the university. Various herbs were cultivated there, and a large pond with water lilies in bloom formed the center of the scenic waterside landscape. "I am sure that if I painted here, it would make a wonderful landscape painting. His Majesty would be delighted. Bring a canvas and you can paint." Pharma was looking forward to seeing the painting, which would be like Monet's water lilies, since Lot's recent paintings were becoming more and more impressionistic, adopting the latest trends. "Good day to you, Professor Medicis. I look forward to your lecture today." The students he met on campus greeted and called out to him as soon as they saw him. Some students, perhaps because of the incident the other day, became nervous and broke out in a cold sweat when they ran into Pharma. For such students, Pharma decided to leave them alone. I prayed that they would understand that he was not a person worthy of their attention during the lecture. "You all seem to know Mr. Pharma. He has just started his work, and yet he is adored by you. Unaware of such a delicate current situation, La was as pleased as she was because pharma was seemingly very popular among the students. Haha. I see. I guess it's more like frightened, right? I couldn't say, I'm not sure. It's kind of strange that Mr. Pharma is treating adult students as a teacher. I wonder too. I don't know how it happened. Anyway, let's have lunch. We don't have much time before the lecture. Lot and I headed for the cafeteria located in the center of the university. Until last year, there was no cafeteria at the St. Flub Imperial School of Pharmacy, and students had to bring their own lunch boxes or go to off-campus restaurants. This year, however, Bruno invested his own money to build a cafeteria, and it was very busy. The reason for this was that the school allowed commoners to enter this year, and he wanted struggling students to be able to concentrate on their studies with a good nutrition and without having to eat poor food. Pharma is impressed with Bruno's thoughtfulness. The cafeteria is buffet style, and for a nominal fee, students can eat as much as they want. La was delighted when she saw the brand new cafeteria hall. Wow, there are dozens of different dishes. These bread rolls look so white and delicious. Is this orange juice freshly squeezed? Oh, and the delicious, high-grade milk that comes from the palace. Lot's plate was piled high with bread, and she also took all kinds of side dishes. Can you eat all of that? Is your stomach okay? Do you need help? Hee hee. I took too much, but I'll taste it slowly and eat it all. Lot savored each bite, closing her eyes and savoring the pleasure of the meal. You always look so happy. You never seem to have any worries. I wonder if Lot has any worries in the first place, Pharma wonders. I'm happy to be by your side like this, and I'm even happier when I have a good meal and dessert. Is that a problem? Yes. Lot's eyes darted around. I thought about it, but I didn't have any. Haha, that's good to hear. Let's go back to the cafeteria. Lot nodded widely with a big smile on her face. Yes, I'm going to eat all the food and then walk back to the pharmacy. Good luck with your work, Pharma-sama. I'll have some delicious tea ready and waiting for you when you get back. Lot will make me feel at home. While Pharma and Lot were eating, Emerick Bauer passed by the cafeteria window. He looked at Lot's face and nodded his head several times before walking past. Do you know any of the students now? Pharma asks Lot. No, what's the matter? He didn't seem to be a customer of the pharmacy. Lot nodded her head but still continued to eat her bread. Hello everyone. We will now begin Introduction to Basic Medicine I. The lectures at Pharma are given in the main auditorium for all first-year undergraduate students. In addition, some of the lectures were open to the public, and those who were qualified as pharmacists throughout the empire were eligible to attend. With this background, there was a fierce competition that morning for the tickets to attend the lectures. From the first-class pharmacists to the third-class pharmacists. Without question, even though it was on a first-come first-served basis in front of the main gate from early morning without Pharma's knowledge. Those who had obtained tickets for the lecture were seated with a look of triumph on their faces. I could also see the faces of the members of the dispensary guild and Pierre, the guild leader. Hey, this is not the level of a full house. Farmer looks puzzled. He asked, are you seated? Please pack up your seats so that everyone can sit down. Put your bags under the desks. Pharma gestures for us to pack up our seats. Still, the planned number of seats was not enough, and some faculty members brought their own chairs to sit on. They spread out textbooks on their desks, which they had apparently purchased at a store. You are all here, said one of the teachers, current and future doctors, pharmacists, technicians, and researchers. Whether your work involves investigating the causes of disease, diagnosing and treating disease, or preventing disease in society, you will be dealing with the phenomenon of human life. Emerick was at the front of the room, taking notes. Josephine, a veterinarian, was also in the front, nodding her head and listening. Farmer drew a simple diagram of a human being on the blackboard. It was a simple, uninteresting, and sprawling schematic. Yes, a person. But what is this thing made of? Falma turned to the students and the audience and asked the question. The human body is composed entirely of chemicals. Starting from atoms, molecules, and macromolecules such as proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids, they form three-dimensional structures that make up the smallest unit of life, the cell. In the cell complex, biochemical reactions are constantly underway, using water, which accounts for 60% of the body weight, as a catalyst. We cannot understand all the chemical reactions that take place in the human body. We cannot understand all the chemical reactions that take place in the human body, but the phenomena of life are governed by the laws of natural science. These laws must be considered first when understanding a disease and establishing its treatment. Some people record Pharma's words at a breakneck pace. He is a druggist stenographer hired by Bruno. He has them record every word of every lecture and take photographs of every word on the board. They will make a record of the lectures for the university's archives. Bruno is so careful that he assumes Pharma will one day cease to exist. Thanks to Mr. Bruno, if I can keep this up for a few years and have all the lecture notes, I will be fine and can hand them over to other lecturers even if I am gone. That alone, Pharma thinks, made it worthwhile for him to take on the professorship. To design a drug to cure a disease, you need to know where that drug or chemical will act in a biochemical reaction, don't you? Pharma is the first to state why basic science is so desperately needed in the study of medicine and pharmacy. Medical and pharmaceutical sciences are a branch of applied science, and therefore, there is no application without learning the basics. So first, let's talk about the structure of proteins. On that day, the lecture was devoted to understanding the biological substances that make up living organisms. The students were frantically taking notes. Some students, who thought they would be able to quickly learn effective treatments for intractable diseases and well-tested medicines under Pharma, looked as if they had despaired of the long way to the entrance of medicine and pharmacy and had blown off their naive idea that they could easily master pharmacy at Pharma. I heard some students lamenting that they might not be able to keep up and get credits for this. Some students seemed to have begun to understand, albeit dimly, why Pharma's drugs work for their illnesses. If you have any questions, please come back after the lecture. As soon as the bell rang to end the lecture, many students and pharmacists stood up as if competing with each other. Professor, I have a question. Professor Medicis, I didn't understand the second half. Professor, tell me more about the bonding of peptide chains. A crowd gathered at the lectern, and Pharma was quickly surrounded by students. While dealing with them one by one, Pharma noticed that Emerick was waiting patiently in the corner of the auditorium. After Pharma finished with everyone, he called out to Emerick. What is it, Mr. Bauer? Professor, I need to talk to you. May I have a moment of your time? When the students were gone, Emerick came up to Pharma with a thoughtful look on his face. First of all, I must apologize. I heard that the professor had covered the cost of the repairs that I had made the other day in a Jinjutsu match that I had set up. Normally, I should have borne the cost as well. How can I apologize? Emerick's confident and irreverent attitude of a few days before was gone, and he looked like a completely different person. I broke it, so you don't have to pay for the repairs, he said. I hope you weren't hurt. Emerick did not seem to be hurt. Pharma was trying not to hurt him, but that was the best she could do. So, what's the story? It's a long way down the road, but may I ask you about genetic diseases? Emerick brought out his textbook. Not a question, but a consultation, okay. Pharma and Emerick sat back down in their seats in the dimly lit auditorium. Emerick had read the textbook too much, and it was already in tatters. I have read every inch of the professor's textbook. There are so many things I wouldn't understand without listening to the lectures, but this textbook is really great. It helped me with my diagnosis and some of the treatments I've tried. That's good to hear. It's a great read, even though has only been on the market for about 6 months. It was Emerick who showed guts, even to the surprise of Pharma, who wrote the textbook. Actually, I believe I am from a family with a genetic disease. Although some of my family members say it is an inescapable curse placed on the family. I don't think it's a curse. I don't think it's a curse because you can use the divine arts so skillfully. If you were cursed, you wouldn't be able to use magic, would you? Falma sided with Emerick, thinking that if Emerick knew it was not a curse, then it would be easier to talk about it. I want to know what the genetic disease is and free my family from it. I see. May I ask for your family history? First of all, who might have died as a result of the disease? Farmer checked the family history he knew from Bruno and integrated it with the new information Emerick had disclosed. Then tell me the symptoms common to the next possible patient. Yes. According to Emerick, when a member of the family is over middle age, the curse causes a burning sensation in the body, followed by a quickening of the pulse and a loss of sight. Next, their pulses quicken, their pupils constrict, and soon they are unable to walk unassisted and cannot sleep at all, night or day. Deprived of sleep, the patients are so weak that no matter how much they close their eyes or use sleeping pills, they are unable to sleep at all. And within a year, their bodies are worn out and they will surely die. As far as I could tell, Pharma had an illness that came to mind. In the textbooks that Pharma had written, it was listed as an extremely rare autosomal dominant disease, a type of hereditary prion disease. Patients in families that develop the disease have an abnormality in the gene that codes for a normal prion, creating an abnormal prion. The abnormal prions accumulate in the thalamus in the brain and destroy neurons, preventing the brain from sending sleep commands to the body through neurons, resulting in insomnia. What do you infer from the symptoms, Professor? From what you've told me, I'd say you have fatal familial insomnia. After all, is that what you think too, Professor? Emerick's blood boiled. He looked as if he had just received a death sentence. No, but that doesn't mean it's been decided. The disease is an autosomal dominant inheritance. But isn't the incidence of the disease too high for that? Autosomal dominant inheritance is a mode of inheritance in which a mutation in one of the paternal-maternal pairs of genes always results in the onset of the disease, with a 50% probability of occurrence in both men and women. Yet, when we look at the family tree, we find that almost everyone in every generation has the disease. Are there more descendants who are not on this family tree, perhaps because they are not written down? If they were counted, Falma thought the percentage would be much closer to 50%. Emerick nodded, his eyes wide, wondering how he knew. Yes, he said. I have heard that some of them were thrown out. Some of them were sent to orphanages or other places because their divine veins didn't open. The more noble a person is, the more dishonorable it is to have a child whose divine veins have not been opened. So as soon as it is discovered, children who have fallen into commoner status are often cast out and expelled from the family. I wonder if we can get in touch with their descendants. I would like to know if those whose divine veins did not open developed the disease, and maybe they did not. If Emerick's family had fatal familial insomnia, it is likely that those whose divine veins were not opened did not develop the disease based on the incidence of those who were not expelled, working backwards. We have records of which orphanage they were placed in, so if the orphanage kept records. Emerick says it is not impossible to trace the records of the orphanages and meet the descendants of those who were expelled. You don't have the disease now, and we don't know if the mutation was inherited in the first place, he said. It's hard to make a definitive diagnosis. Who in the family is currently affected? No one in the family currently has the disease. The most recent was my father, who passed away 3 years ago. Emerick handed Falma his father's medical records up to his last day. Then he choked on his words with tears, as if it had become too painful to think back. Pharma looked over Emerick's chart. It was a cruel and spectacular record of a father's devastation and death and despair, too one-sided to be called a battle against illness. My father, a druggist, couldn't sleep a wink and was worn out, but he still wanted to live to the end. I administered the medicine to him with all the knowledge I had, regardless of the side effects. Emerick's prescription records were almost entirely broken in guesswork. He tried every possible combination of potions, herbs, and heavy metals day after day, night after night. It was more like human experimentation than a cure. Yet not even for a moment, not even for a day, not even for a few hours could he get his father to sleep soundly. I wish I had met you sooner. When Emerick's family was suffering from a deadly disease, Farmer was not yet in the world. Professor, tell me, it is my turn and that of my younger siblings. Emerick asked Pharma, as if he were chewing each word. I have a medicine that can cure this disease. Finally, as if praying for something. Do you have it? Pharma looked back at Emerick with a stronger gaze, as if he were shooting straight into Emerick's eyes. No. Those two words, Pharma said. Too mercilessly, without a shred of hesitation. Oh, done. Emerick crumbles to the floor with his textbook in his arms. He realized that he and his sisters and brothers would be entangled in the fate that awaited him from now on, and that they would be thrown into the abyss. The chart fell from Emerick's hand and fluttered to the floor of the auditorium. He was completely dejected, but he still left a last will and testament to Pharma. I have a favor to ask. If I develop the disease, I will kill myself before it progresses. Therefore, Professor, please dissect me, cut up my body, and find out what this disease is. Pharma picks up the medical records one by one and bundles them together as she listens to Emerick's plaintive pleas. I'm just telling you what's going on, that there is no treatment right now. Pharma gathered up the bundled medical records and handed them to Emerick with a great care. Emerick had read the textbook until it was so tattered that he might have begun to see the idea of drug discovery, so Pharma asked him a question. What kind of drug do you think would be effective against this currently incurable disease? I don't know. I am at a loss. But if this disease is caused by nerve cell damage due to the accumulation of abnormal prions, then first delay the onset of the disease. After the onset, could we create a drug that would break down the prions or inhibit them from damaging the neurons? Emerick's ideas and senses were approaching those of the pharmacologists of modern Earth. In fact, even with that approach, clinical research is underway on the disease. Yes, that sounds good. There are several ways to search for drugs that can delay the onset of the disease, destroying or disabling the abnormal prion. Or better yet, cure the genetic mutation before it occurs. How do we get the genetic blueprint of life? It is impossible to alter all the genetic abnormalities in the 70 trillion body cells. Because it is not easy to do, even with the best of modern medicine, there is currently no cure for prion diseases. The elucidation of prion diseases and the development of a cure for prion diseases was one of the difficult issues that Pharma had been working on since before his death. But it was not a simple task. However, as long as there is a genetic mutation, all treatments are only symptomatic. Emerick looked anxious, but Pharma encouraged him. There is no cure. That is the starting point for drug discovery. Instead of killing yourself, you should do your own research, try various methods, and work to overcome the disease. Pharma encouraged Emerick with words that could be considered comforting. But Pharma did not intend for his words to be merely comforting. Let's see if there are any abnormalities in your genes, he said. Can you get in touch with your sister and brothers? Yes, I can. They have moved nearby. Can you bring them all to the lab? We want to take DNA from the cells and analyze it. First, let's see if our guess is correct and if indeed a genetic mutation of fatal familial insomnia has occurred. Using the state-of-the-art equipment in the laboratory in the other world, it may be possible to test for the presence of the genetic mutation while traveling back and forth between this world and the other world. Although they will only be able to stay there for only an hour. I did not want to go to the other world because it would jeopardize Pharma's existence in this world, but I could not say so when it was a matter of great importance for my student. I understand. I will bring him to you at once. Emerick seemed undaunted in his decision to face the disease that was eating away at him, and that might even lead to his death. Time is running out every minute. You don't know when it will strike. If it does, he will die. But it is still too early to give up. I was wondering if the girl you were having dinner with earlier was a friend of yours. Emerick seemed to remember something when he was told that she was his sister and brother, and asked Pharma. "You mean Lot? I'm a servant of the Medici's family and an employee of the pharmacy." "What's wrong?" "No. It's just that she looks so much like my sister that it's hard to believe she's just someone else's empty. I'm a pharmacy worker. It's a very unusual thing to see." Falma was listening casually, but Emerick was caught off guard. "By the way, may I ask her name?" "Charlotte Sorrel." "Sorrel." Emerick's hand stopped. Then he tells Pharma with an apologetic look on his face, "She's from the same family as mine." "It's the same surname as mine." "Not strictly speaking, but my family's surname, Soleil, the imperial reading of Saint Fleuve, is Sorrel. I think it is a rare surname in this empire. I hope there is no blood relation between our family and hers." That would mean. Pharma felt a chill run down her spine. The story that Lot had told him had crossed her mind. Lot's father was a commoner, but that he died of an unexplained and incurable disease shortly after Lot was born.